I love
Fable 3. Hello everybody, what is up, Proptos here, and today we got another throwback review for Fable 3 on the Xbox 360. Now this game came out on October 26, 2010, so it's been quite a while since this came out, but all in all, we're still going to review it anyways, so yeah. So this game had its ups and downs, some people loved it, some people hated it, but all in all, if you're a diehard fan of the series, you're probably still going to enjoy this because it was still a pretty fun game. So the plot goes as follows. Fable 3 is set 50 years after the events of Fable 2. The game is set on the fictional continent of Albion, which is entering an age of industry. The hero of Bowerstone and the ruler of Albion died, leaving the kingdom to their eldest son, Logan Paul. Now I'm just joking that it's not actually Logan Paul, you guys all know that, but the character was actually legitimately named Logan, so yeah. Anyways, the player's older brother, some NPCs allude to how Logan Paul has changed in the last 4 years of his rule, becoming excessively tyrannical. The player begins the game investigating rumors that Logan Paul had a citizen of Albion executed, causing a group of citizens to protest. After the player character intervenes, Logan Paul presents the player with one of the first of many numerous moral choices. The player is tasked with deciding on whether the group of protesters are executed or whether the player's love interest is executed instead, following the decision of the player escaping Logan Paul's castle along with their mentor, Sir Walter Beck, and their butler, Jasper. The player then, with the guidance of Teresa, the enigmatic seeress of the Spire and distant ancient relative of the hero player, starts to gather allies to aid the revolution against the tyrannical king, Logan Paul. The allies they gain include Sabine, the leader of the Dwellers, a nomadic community that lives in the mountains, Major Swift, and Ben Finn, soldiers from the Royal Army in command of the remote fort, Paige, the leader of the Bowerstone Resistance, and Colleen, the leader of Aurora, a desert's land across the ocean. During the course of the story, the player will be asked by allies for a promise, usually involving righting the wrongs done to them by King Logan Paul's rule. Once the player has gained enough control over the kingdom, when attempting to gain the support of Colleen, the hero learns that the creature called the Crawler and the forces of darkness, which have already devastated Aurora, intend to exterminate all life in the kingdom of Albion. It is revealed that Logan Paul's reason for treating his people so harshly is to raise funds for Albion's military to defend them against the impending Crawler invasion. The player then leads a coup d'etat and becomes the next monarch. As ruler, the player is presented with numerous choices whether to keep the promises made to those who aided the revolution at the great expense of the treasury, or betray the promises in order to raise money for the defense of Albion through industrialization and use of natural resources against the rapidly approaching Crawler invasion. The player then is given a limited amount of time to make choices and come up with enough money to fund the defense. The choices made help decide the hero's fate as good or evil ruler. The player can also utilize the treasury money for personal purposes or transfer the money to the player's own supply to the treasury. Keeping and breaking promises has a tangible impact to the future and gameplay, which are permanent. Alright, now for the gameplay part of this. So, Fable 3 did still have a complaint that I had in Fable 2, which is a lack of a shit ton of spells that Fable 1 had. But I felt Fable 3 actually kind of improved upon this a little bit, because in the game you have these gauntlets, which have different spells you can use and everything, but you can also sit there, combine two of them, and create it into an even more powerful spell, which I thought was actually a pretty cool aspect. So we didn't have a shit ton of spells, but we did still have cool little stuff like that, which made the combat pretty fun. Now for the multiplayer part of it, you know, as we all know, Fable 2 wasn't exactly the best. You had to use a pre-made character and basically it was kind of so-so and not the greatest. But Fable 3 seemed to actually, go and improve upon this and actually make it so you can sit there and have your character dressed how you want them, run around with your friends, doing quests, and weirdly enough, you can even marry them if you really wished. Yes. Achievement unlocked. So combat in this game actually was pretty simplistic, but it was also pretty fun in the same way, because this one made it really easy to switch between gun and sword on the fly or switch between spells real fast. And it didn't sit there have to take time to sit there, okay, wait, let's stop, let's withdraw this real quick and all that. As for the menu system, this is really kind of a iffy subject with some people. Some people loved it, some people hate it. Instead of just pressing start and, just scrolling through your menu, you were then taken to a full 3D room where you got to sit there and walk up to your changing room or your weaponry and all that. So some people liked it. It was alright. Personally, I didn't mind it, but there are quite a few people who absolutely just hated it. I didn't think it was honestly that bad. And the map system actually was pretty improved. I actually gives you a lot more detailed. As before we just had the top view, this time we actually had a table that actually had a full like little 3D map of the whole city, which kind of made it easier to kind of say, hey, I want to buy this area, I want to fix this area up. So definitely not too bad with that aspect. Now the game did have a newer feature which is kind of weird, which is holding the other player's hand. In the beginning they kind of have you hold one of the guy's hands like, hey, come on, check this out, hold his hand, look at that, look at the friendship, man, it's pretty nice. And in other aspects of the game it actually makes a little bit more sense. As for escort missions, you could either have them follow you, but as you know, sometimes they kind of get left behind, so if you want to keep them close to you, if you're in a dangerous area, you can actually hold their hand and kind of like, you know, pull them through the area, which actually wasn't too bad. As for the graphics of the game, it probably wasn't the best for the 360s era, but they did still do a great job at world immersion and basically selling the world off as real. Now the game is filled with voice acting for pretty much every single character, which is amazing, but sometimes when it came to being in the cities, it kind of got a bit cumbersome because you would have like 5 or 6 different people talking over each other at one time. I was like, what the hell is going on, man? This is weird. So between all the side quests and the main quest of the story, this game definitely has plenty to do. And the moral aspect of the game is definitely still there because you can either choose, you know, hey, let's be a dick to everybody, fuck it, you guys get no funding, we're tearing all the shit down. Orphans, get the hell out of here. Or you can actually be good, help citizens in need, and, you know, actually try to rebuild the city and, you know, make allies along the way. Now, the one aspect of this game that really kind of, you know, drug me down quite a bit was the very ending, because after you finally become king, you have all your followers, you have people come to you, you know, that you made promises to in order, you know, get your whole rally and everything. And basically it's like, hey, we want to build these forts over here in the desert to protect us from the crawlers and everything. And yeah, so we need about 300,000 to do this. So then you have your other advisor who, you just look at the smirk on his face, you can tell he's an evil douchebag. But he says, yeah, well, we could just refuse it and it'll cost us 0, huh? So that comes to the point where I was talking about earlier, that really depends on how quickly you want to build up money to fight the army. Because basically, if you basically just say, hey, fuck everybody, we're just gonna, you know, military, hell yeah, all the way, then yeah, it's gonna be pretty quick and it's not gonna be that hard to get all the money out to protect the whole town. But if you actually want to, you know, keep all the promises, be an actual good king and, you know, sit there and fund all this, it gets a little tedious, because with doing all that, if you don't have a shit ton of money like built up through your entire gameplay, then you're gonna have a little bit of grinding to do. And I definitely had to do that because I was doing my Good Alliance playthrough, and basically I kept all my promises, but I'm like, oh shit, I don't have really enough money for half of this, and I only got so much time before, you know, the crowd is going to come and fuck us up. So basically what you're going to have to do is find a decent little grinding job and start earning money that way. I believe I did with chopping wood, I forgot I think I was making swords in the desert area, but I would literally sit there for about an hour to 2 hours each morning just grinding away, making money and money and money, and it was just like taking forever. And then eventually I think I was like, fuck it, you know what, I'm only about 100,000 off, you know what, screw it, sorry, we're gonna have some people die, but you know what, most everybody will live. So yeah, still kind of a good king. So yeah, that part of the game, which I'm not trying to knock it too much because it is definitely a more realistic part of the game where it's like, hey, you actually have to do your job as ruler, you have to sit there and make decisions and figure out how you're going to do it. But in other aspects, it does kind of get into a bit of a grind fest if you're that person who's trying to get the 100% good alignment. And definitely, yeah, so some people may be in for that, some people may just like, okay, you know what, screw it, I'm just going to be freaking evil. This will make the game a hell of a lot more easier. But all in all, it's definitely a pretty good game. So after all that, what is my verdict going to be? I gave this Fable 3 for the Xbox 360 a 7.0 out of 10. It definitely had some room for improvement. They definitely had some pretty bold claims before they even launched the game. But all in all, it's still an enjoyable time if you're a Fable fan. Alright folks, that's about it for this video. If you guys did enjoy, and if you're new here, be sure to subscribe. And be sure to follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Twitter mainly for, you know, all the news on what I'm going to be coming out with, what's coming up, what we're going to be doing. Instagram and Facebook are more just, you know, memes and, you know, just shenanigans and all that. Alright, as always, I thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys later.